Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another discussion video. This one is pretty much, I would say, an addition to one of my previous discussion videos on why I decide to get some books slabbed. So I'm calling this one to grade or not to grade. So I just want to follow up a little bit on that. This video shouldn't be too long. But in the previous video, I talked about why I would get something slabbed, okay? I outlined a couple of reasons why, and one of the big reasons was because of the future. You never know what could happen, and you want to make sure that whoever has these books after I pass away, excuse me, when it comes to family members, that you want to make it easy for them to do with them as they please, whether they want to keep them or whether they want to sell them. So that's why one of the main reasons why I'll have them slabbed, so we know what grade they are, we know all the information on them of what this will go for and what we can get, right? So that's one of the things I talked about in the previous video. But I was thinking one of the other reasons why I would decide to get something graded is because I would want to sell something. Now that was mentioned in the other video too. You see, I don't mind getting, when I want to press, I've been trying to get more things graded, and I'm going to continue to get things graded throughout the rest of the year and into 2021 and beyond. Well, some of the books I have, I really would like to get graded for various reasons, but one of the main reasons is that if the books were to come back at a high grade, a really high grade, I would probably most likely want to sell them and then perhaps buy a lower grade. I think Patrick, Luther Manning, often talked about, at least with me, and I think he talked about it with the community, that if he ever got a book, a top dollar book that came back a pretty high grade, at some point he would even He would make the decision, well, do I really need a 9.0? Do I really need an 8.0? It would probably be a good idea to sell it and then maybe get a lower grade or something else because of the value in it. So if I had a high grade copy of a book that was going for a lot of money, I think it's a good idea to have it slabbed, because there will always be people, and I mentioned this in the previous video, that will always want to debate you on what they think the grade is. Well, when it's slabbed, there is no debate. This is what it is. There's, if you want to negotiate price, then that's up to you. But it is exactly this. It shows that there's no restoration. For those of you that are nervous about restoration, those of you that don't really know how to pick up restoration, hey, I'm one of those people too. I'm not perfect at it. I've had some doozies in the past where I picked up restored books and it completely went over my head. Mistakes happen. But anyway, when you have a slab, you're counting on the fact that it would tell you if there was restoration in it. So you get to avoid all that nonsense, and then you could choose to sell it, no matter how, whatever way you choose to sell it, on eBay, through the auction sites, or in private, certain boards, CGC boards, or whatever. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking about why I would try to get some books graded. Because if I have 2 copies of Eternals 1. One of them is a higher grade than another. Well, I'm going to get them both graded. Or I would get the higher grade one graded. And if it comes back the grade I'm thinking, most likely I'm going to sell it and then use that money for something else. And I don't mind keeping the lower grade copy. And the lower grade copy I'm talking about is probably like a 7.5. The other one I have is probably a 9 or better. And that's not even like crazy high grade, but with all the hype that's going on with the Eternals, and if this hype continues to go in an upwards direction, that a 9.0 or above will be a very desirable book. I don't need to have a 9.0 in my collection. I'm not one of those people that, feel like, oh, I got to have, a certain grade on everything. I'm happy with having the book, but I'm also, in addition to that, I'm happier getting books that I really, really want, that are big boy books that are very, very expensive. So I could sell the higher grade copies of my duplicates or higher grade copies of a book and get something I really, really want, or if it's my only copy, sell the higher grade copy, get a lower grade. If it's something as a 7 and I get good money for a 7.0 or whatever, I'll probably buy a 4.5 or a 5.0. for much cheaper, right? And then whatever difference is, whatever's left from the money that I've made from that sale, I'll put towards something else. So that's one of the main reasons. Another one of the main reasons why. Well, I'm just elaborating more on the previous video on why I choose to get some things graded, because it's right there in front of you. Here's the grade. No restoration, or there is restoration, or there's something else that's funny about it. All the information you need. And chances are, now I know some people may say, well, slabs don't sell as fast as raw books. Well, that's true too. But sometimes people, they'll buy slabs thinking that they could press them, crack them open, press them, and see if they get a higher grade. Well, that's a risk that people take, and that's up to them. I personally don't do that. If I buy a slab, I mean, most of the time I'm not thinking in my head, oh, I could crack this out and press it and get a higher grade. I don't know. I'm not in a position, unless it's really obvious. If I'm looking at the book and I see a bunch of non-color breaking creases, well then yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking that that's the best way to go when you want to get more books in your collection. I think ETA Nick and Patrick have made this an art form where they would have high-grade copies of something, sell them, and buy maybe lower grade copies of the same book. Or if they just don't want the book anymore, they have no attachment to it, they'll sell the book off and get something that they really want, and never have to worry about going into their pocket to pay for some of these books that that fuel the hobby. So I think that's a really good way to go about it. So that's just was a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. In addition to the previous video I talked about when it comes to slabbing and so forth and so on. And I think that's a real good way to look at things if you really want to get some good books down the line. Thank you for listening, everybody. Take care.